my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Pokemon, oh, you're my best friend in a world we must defend. Pokemon.
All right, so we're live. I'm Mason. I make Amigos, and I'm here with
Josue from Amiibo Steel, and we have a special guest today. So,
Hi.
Ryan.
Hi, this is Ryan Benno, probably known as BlvdNights in the custom Amiibo community. Yeah.
Cool. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about today. There's been all sorts of crazy news this week. So I guess we'll start with our state of the collection. Like we're planning on doing every podcast, and so Josue, how's your collection coming?
Collection's coming good. Again, so as I previously mentioned on the last podcast, I wasn't necessarily going to buy the Mega Man Legacy Collection, but my brother did get it. I did look at the Amiibo. I did kind of like make sure I kind of looked into like the compatibility of the Mega Man Amiibo. It's kind of just again, like what we said previously, it's a repaint, so it's kind of like it doesn't have any other special feature into it. Pretty upset with that. Other than that, I mean, I did pre-order Rover, so that's cool. So that's kind of like where my collection's at right now. Haven't done much with buying too many Amiibo yet. I'll probably buy, probably this weekend I'll probably be buying a couple of Amiibo cards. And yeah, no, that's kind of like my state of my collection.
Cool.
Yeah, mine, I haven't really bought anything new recently. I mean, I get a lot of the customs get sent over, so I usually get excited about that. But I guess, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Twilight Princess HD Wolf Amiibo comes out. It looks pretty cool. I'm curious about the functionality of it and kind of what those extra dungeon bits are, so I'm pretty excited to get that. Yeah, I mean, Gold, Mega Man. I'm not even a Mega Man guy, but I just like the Mega Man Amiibo. So the Gold Amiibo, I'm like, I've been going back and forth about whether or not I want to get it at some point.
Yeah. So I got the.
One thing.
So I got the bundle, and I have him. It is completely blank.
Exactly.
Oh, hold on. It's not switching between videos. I don't know why it's not switching between videos. Okay, there we go. All right, so Gold Mega Man, mint in box, and the back and front are completely blank, which is just stupid. But with that said, he's going to go into my mint in box collection, which looks a bit like this.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
And ignore the stupid trophy. It's a Spirit Award that I was given as a joke. So, anyway, so yeah, that's my mint in box collection. So this week I added Mega Man, so that's the state of my collection.
That's awesome.
Oh, and I'm trying to get a second Gold Mega Man so I can make him glow, because why not?
That looks sick. Honestly, I feel like the only way they can actually fix it, at least in this problem, at least for me, I totally buy one if they make it standalone. I don't see why they can't do it, even if it's a repaint. I'd love to get one at least, because it does look cool. It does look cool. But
well, that brings us to an interesting topic: is what do you guys think of Gold Mega Man being a standalone? What do you think the odds of that are?
I mean, it's always a possibility. I mean, they already have, Gold Mario. It makes you wonder if they're going to do variants of that. I mean, I think Disney Infinity has, clear versions of some of their figures as well. So, I mean, it's always a possibility that they end up doing that with specific figures as well, just to be able to get more mileage out of them as well.
Well, so
right.
I was browsing, or should I say lurking on our Amiibo the other day, and I read someone asked that question, and I was looking the comments, and people were like, "There's no way they won't because Nintendo likes money," and that's the obvious answer. But
Right.
with regards to like the Animal Crossing amiibo, what was it? Digby and Isabel were in the bundle. Sorry, my cats are fighting. They're being stupid. So they separated those out, from the bundle, and then Green Yoshi was in the bundle for Woolly World originally, and he got separated out, and Modern Mario was in the bundle for the Wii U, and he got separated out. So
they've all been coming out of their bundles, which is something that we've been talking about, but I don't know. Like, I think they would do it, but hopefully they they release the packaging for it. Are you upset with the idea that they don't have necessarily like a clear artwork for them, or are you okay with the white cardboard?
I mean, I'm not really a in-box collector. I like the boxes, and I like having them in the boxes. If the design of them is really kind of nice, but it's just like, for me, I'm more of like, I like them on the shelf. I kind of like the look of them. But I mean, the box design in general, I think, has always been really nice.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's for those who are really into that. I can definitely see where people would be really disappointed, particularly since it's a much bigger box as well. It's not just and it's so out of place compared to all the other ones, just from a design sense. Unless you're gonna put let's say the Mario Party one together, or I mean, kind of like I mentioned, the Twilight Princess one I think actually has that, or Animal Crossing amiibo garbage, or whatever you want to call that game. It's just yeah. I mean, I can get where that's, and it's weird because I've seen even for the other box sets, at least they come in some sort of packaging with the art on it from whatever the original figure is. So I can definitely see where people would be.
Because my thing with the Gold Mega Man amiibo, it's kind of just obviously when they announced it during the Direct, I was very I loved it. I loved how it looked. I thought it was really cool. I thought there was a lot of possibilities for it, especially different features that they could put into the game with the Gold Mega Man. I was like, okay, pretty cool idea. But I was very upset with the fact that at first, some pictures started kind of showing up. I think it was Destructoid that they first uploaded the pictures showing kind of just the amiibo itself, but it had I guess clear packaging. I thought it was more just which is now kind of I guess a review kit, if anything. So they got that, and I was very upset with it because I was instantly reminded of the Digby and Isabel bundle, and I was like, I wouldn't want that. Not because I don't like the amiibo. I'm a hardcore new in-box collector. Any dents, any scratch, I'm very picky about that. I love the art. To me, but I was like, okay, it's a turn-off for me. And I saw it, and I was like, oh. And then as soon as we heard that they don't have anything special other than it being a repaint, I was pretty bummed out about it because I was like,
yeah,
it is a missed opportunity in the sense that they could have done so much more with it. But they didn't. I don't want to say that they got lazy with it, but they've been depending on a lot of things like an amiibo, so they are obviously trying to push out as much as they can, especially new content for amiibo. But again, that goes back to how they want to work around the amiibo. They want to make sure that amiibos have a lot of different compatibility and a lot of different uses for it, instead of it just being a collector's item, which is a bummer. But yeah. So tell us a little bit about your customs and what you do.
My customs. So I guess I'm known for my 3D print customs primarily. Which
I can put up a few photos during the YouTube video.
Sure.
So
yeah, totally. That sounds good.
Talk about them as if they're on screen.
As if they're on screen. I'm staring at a couple right now. It's I mean, I guess I got into this. Actually, a coworker of mine when I was was really into it, and I was like, oh man, amiibos, I don't know. And then one day we were we went on a lunch break for him to go pick up. I think it was one of the early, maybe wave 2 or 3, and I was like, oh man, they kind of look cool, and so I bought one, and then all of a sudden a couple weeks later I had way too many. And I was like,
Wow.
yeah, you know, like, and like the one that really got me into it was actually Ness, because I'm a huge Earthbound fan. It's a game that's you know, it's one of my favorite games growing up. But I kind of have a long history with wanting Earthbound merchandise.
I feel like every Earthbound fan has that.
I think every Earthbound fan has some sort of what's the word here that I can think of here? Desire for basically more Earthbound. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I got the Nest one, and it kind of reminded me of when I was a really young kid. After playing Earthbound, I was like, man, because like this was probably sometime in the mid '90s. I'm gonna maybe age myself here a little bit, but it's so like back then, like you just couldn't find a lot of game merchandise, particularly figures. There just was not a lot of that, you know. Other than, you know, you would get an occasional, let's say, like a McDonald's Happy Meal or something like that, and then it would be like, oh shit, you know, they have all this awesome stuff.
By the way, cursing's allowed on this podcast.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that wasn't sure. I over the course of the summer, I actually took a sculpting class to try to learn how to sculpt figures with the specific intent in mind of making figures of the 4 kids from Earthbound. I don't have them anymore. Oh yeah, sure, for like a 10-year-old. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like even back then I was like, man, it's like, you know, I really wanted them, and so when I got the Nest one, I was like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to be able to make like 3D prints of them, because for those that don't know, I'm actually a professional 3D artist in the games industry, so I know how to 3D, and I've done some experimenting with 3D printing over the last couple of years. Nothing as serious as kind of what's taken off now. So I started playing around with that concept. I was like, well, I can make models, you know, actually 3D model them, and then I know kind of where to go to get the prints and stuff like that. So I did some experimenting and tried out a couple different printers and services, and I finally kind of stuck with something that really works. And yeah, I mean, I've been pretty happy with it, and like, you know, it's kind of just taken off from there. You know, for the most part, it's kind of crazy. It started with just like, I'm gonna do Jeff, Paula, Pooh, and then I'll do that, and then yeah, like I've just had a lot of other people kind of get really excited about the stuff, and it's been a nice little side thing to do, particularly since I've done so much game art over the last like 10, 12 years or so, even on like side stuff. So for me, this has been kind of a nice little break from that, and actually being able to make something that's tangible. Because one of the things as like a 3D artist is like you know, you can make these really awesome environments, you know, for games, but you know, unless you're on a screen, you're kind of, you know, out of it. So it's nice to be able to say like, hey, look, I made this model, I modeled it, you know, I textured it, and it's out here, and it actually looks like an actual like model, you know. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so like the process I guess that I go through is usually I will take a model, and it'll either be, you know, I'll start from a base from either an original in-game model, or for like, let's say the like Pokemon trainers that like I've made, I start with an actual, you know, I just start with just like nothing, and then I model those out of myself, and I do high detail sculpts on them. I use for my base modeling program, I use Autodesk Maya, which is probably one of the more prolific 3D programs, and I also use ZBrush, which is a 3D sculpting program that a lot of people in the games and the film industry use, and I think a lot of toy people use it now too. So I take those, make the models, and then I send them off to Shapeways, which is a fantastic, awesome service. And like I've looked at like buying my own printer, or even finding vendors that are close by, and the quality not only of like the prints that you get, but also the color, which is a huge deal as well. Because originally, like I started prototyping a bunch of Jeff figures off the bat that were not in color, that were just plastic, and like they turned out all right. But it, you know, I then had to start painting them myself, and it was just a huge, you know, it was a lot of time to be able to do that. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So I tried their color prints, which basically just come in sandstone, which is not as durable as plastic, but the color quality that you get in terms of like the saturation is really, really good.
So,
you know?
so that's something I wanted to ask. So your customs or the printing is actually like sandstone. So
It is, yeah.
If they got wet, would they like disintegrate, or are they like held together with like a plastic, or?
So the way that the process works, from my understanding, is that they actually glue them once they're done doing the initial print. So they'll actually have them print in large layers of like a cube, basically, and inside of that cube, they'll then just like airbrush out anything that's not part of the print. Let that soak in glue for, I believe, a week or so, which also helps bring out the color, and then it keeps it all together at that point.
Okay, so they're essentially, it's like adding a clear coat to any normal custom, like normally custom painted amiibo.
Yeah, exactly. And like I've even looked at the idea of using like something that has a little bit more of a glossy finish to it, and I haven't particularly been really happy with the results that they had. And like I've even tried doing it myself, and again, it just doesn't work as well. I mean, in terms of water itself, I haven't had any issues with it. I've been able to dip it in water, and I think at most the color it loses a little bit of saturation if you literally like dip it inside of like a cup or like a pool or whatever. But if it's like a couple raindrops or whatever, then like it's not a huge it's totally fine. So
cool. All right, so with that said, Josue, I'm gonna need you to take your headphones off and look away from the computer, because I'm gonna show him something that you're not allowed to see.
Okay. I'm not allowed to see. Okay.
That also means that you can't or actually, here, you know what? I'll show it to him, so just don't look at the screen, but also don't watch the video.
Okay, not watching anything.
Okay.
Not watching anything.
All right, so Brian, can you see me in the screen?
I cannot. No.
Okay.
Let's see.
How about? Let's see. All right. How about now?
Is that working? Let's see. No, not yet either.
All right. Well, it's recording. I should be visible to everybody else. So, I've got this thing, and this thing that I'm going to be sending him soon, that he's going to be freaking out about when he gets it. But I'm not letting him know what it is. And yeah, I'm just basically torturing him, and not telling him what it is. And Ryan, I'm gonna send you a DM on Twitter so you know what it is. Since you can't see.
Oh my god.
In fact, I'll just send you a photo of it. So it's off screen. But Josue, you can look back at the screen now. You're safe.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
But
yeah,
you're basically, it'll show up in the mail sometime next week, most likely.
Awesome. So we'll make sure that when we record, at least level 3, that we'll have it on here.
Yeah, you're gonna when we record level 3, you're going to open the box on air, so you're not gonna get to see it otherwise.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome.
I know.
Cool. It is torturing, especially I'm the type of person where I like to know things. Like I don't like to live in mystery. I hate that. Probably it will annoy me. So when the box is here, it's probably gonna annoy me to open it and to not open it yet until we're recording. So I'll make sure to have that there. No, I'm not gonna touch it at all. It's gonna be live unboxing. Oh my god.
Oh.
Perfect.
All right. So I just sent it. Brian, I just sent it, so it should show up.
Okay. Let me see here. Oh, that's rad. That's cool. Yeah, that's really neat. Awesome.
Yeah. So he's gonna flip out when he sees it, and by the way, oh my god, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun episode. So, all right. I guess we can. That's more than our fair share of the state of our collections, but
yeah.
And one last question for you, Ryan, is how long does it take you from start to finish? So when you start with a concept for a particular figure, making the model and then having it printed, how long of a runtime is that?
Well, the modeling kind of varies. For the most part, it's it kind of depends on basically how much time I'm able to put aside. So most of the modeling I do is like on the weekends. It takes somewhere between like a day or two. Like I would say, with the female Pokemon trainer that I made, that one took a little while just because I had to do the whole modeling on her, and then I had to actually rig her. So then, and so like the process of rigging is basically like putting bones into a 3D model that allow animators to like animate like a 3D model properly. So it's kind of almost like putting like an armature inside of a 3D or like inside of a miniature. So rigged her up. That took a little while because I haven't done any rigging in quite some time. So that took like maybe about a week or so. Like in terms of real time, maybe about 3-4 days of actual work. And then when I send it out to ship, it takes somewhere between a week and a half to 2 weeks for me to get it back from the printing place. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess we can move on to our next topic. So I guess our custom amiibo of the week, which is something we meant to do last time, but I don't think we did. So a custom amiibo of the week is basically a figure that we're going to feature from a certain artist. And I figure it kind of needs to be a Pokemon amiibo this week, considering today is the 20th anniversary. But you know what? Screw that. Let's feature one of yours, that Ashley from WarioWare.
that one.
That looks awesome. What base did you use for her?
That one, actually, I have not gotten back yet from the customer in terms of what she would like on it. It's probably going to be, I would assume, Rosalina or Princess Peach in there. But yeah, I have not. That is up to the person that sent me out the commission for that. But yeah, that was a fun one to do. I actually did not know who Ashley was because I think I've played one WarioWare game. And maybe
don't feel too bad. I've never played Wario games ever. Anyway.
There you go.
So, yeah. Not that I haven't wanted to. It's just I haven't really gotten around to it. So I've heard wonderful, wonderful things.
They're weird, from what I can remember. They're really, really weird in that very, very bizarre Japanese kind of way. But yeah, from what I remember. But yeah, so yeah, Ashley is. It's turned out actually really well. It's actually a little smaller than I wanted to, so I'm actually going to probably make a second version for myself, actually, and make it a little bigger. But yeah, like, that one was cool, particularly the head. It was so big, I was a little concerned about her stability in terms of actually being able to sit on the base, but so far it seems like it's pretty good. But yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll since that's, since you're on the show this week, we'll feature that as our custom amiibo of the week or whatever.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
So, what games are you currently playing?
Games? What games? In terms of amiibo-based games, I've actually been I haven't played a whole lot this week other than actually a lot of Destiny, but that's completely unrelated to like anything amiibo related. But I have started to play a bit of Smash Brothers, mainly because I finally have like final versions of the Earthbound figures that I'm going to keep for myself. For those that haven't seen either, I've also done custom bases for a few of the figures. So I did a custom Mother 2 Earthbound base for a few of them, and so I've printed out a few of those, and I've kind of kept so I kept a Jeff and a Paula and a Pooh for myself specifically for that, and then I've embedded Mii fighter chips into each one of those, and then turn those Miis into Miis that look like Jeff, Paula, and Pooh, and I've been training those basically inside of Smash because I'm a giant nerd like that. So it's like, oh, this would be cool. Why not? Sure.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I'm in the process of working on a Mii Gunner Geno.
Oh, there you go.
That I'm going to have for myself. That Gondicris has agreed to do all the sculpting and turning it into Geno.
That'll be awesome.
But I'm going to make the gun glow on it, and that's going to be my personal one. I'm going to train and just completely destroy everybody.
That'll be awesome. Yeah. Mallow and Geno are like, I have this idea of doing amiibos of them too, which involve a star base, like totally different from like the round bases, like legitimately just doing a star. I have the models. I just need to rig them up at some point and do some additional modeling to them. But yeah, Mario RPG is like up there with Earthbound. Oh really? It's I mean, if you're used to other RPGs by now, you probably would be like, oh, this is kind of RPG light in a way. Mm-hmm. But I got it back when it first came out. So this was like sometime in the mid '90s, and it was between Chrono Trigger, which was just absolutely mind blowing at the time, Earthbound, and Super Mario RPG. Those three are like pillars and like the foundation of like games that like I really enjoy. But yeah, that game, I'm always sad that they've never been able to work something out with Square to make another one of those games. You know, I mean, like they have the Paper Mario series, which I think started out as like a sequel to that, but
yeah,
personally, I've never been a huge fan of Paper Mario, mainly because I think I had the bitterness of remembering them being like, oh, they're gonna make Super Mario RPG 2, it'll be awesome, and then it was like Paper Mario, and I was like, okay, I don't care anymore, whatever, it's cool, enjoy it, guys.
I played the original Paper Mario on the N64, and I loved it. But I got to the point where I was at a boss, and I was like, I had the hammer as my main weapon, and the hammer just was not working for me, and I kept losing, and it got to the point where I was like basically stuck where I was, and I never ended up playing it and beating the game because I did so poorly. I just I couldn't go anywhere. I got stuck, and so it was very frustrating. So I kind of got turned off from that whole series. But I've watched a couple or bits and pieces of playthroughs of Super Mario RPG and loved what I saw. So like, you know, I love Geno, and he's who I voted for in the Smash ballot. But you know, I was a little disappointed when we got a freaking costume rather than an actual character. Like, you get the costume, you could have done the character.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would have been neat to have him in there. I mean, at least they put something in there to acknowledge it. Yeah, Geno's. Yeah. If you ever get a chance, if you're a Mario fan, I actually went back and did a holiday stream of it over the end of last year, and it still holds up. But like a lot of it might be nostalgia in some ways, but like I really enjoy it. I mean, it's the only game that I remember as a kid being like, I can play as Mario, Bowser, and Peach. This is crazy. What? Like what? Because it was like, what was it? It was before Mario Party. It was before any of the real side, in terms of like the side games. In a way, you had Mario Kart and Mario's Missing. I think were the only major ones. I think there was a Luigi typing game at some point too, but that was it. It was like the core games were Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then this basically, and like Yoshi's Island and Mario World. But yeah. And I think the world's interesting, and it's cool to see a game from that era using like 3D but as sprites, and it actually holds up. I think the art direction for that holds up pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So, Josue, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, so what I've been trying to play this week has been Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. So last Sunday, I went to, I think it was last Sunday. Yeah, it was last Sunday. So I went. I'm not sure if it was last Sunday. Well, I can't even remember. So, I know that last week I went to a lot of different stores. I went to Toys R Us, I went to GameStop, I went to Target, and I was trying to look for Birthright, and I couldn't find it because it was like sold out in my area. So the only store that had any Fire Emblem Fates game was my other local Toys R Us, which was probably like 15 minutes away. I wasn't too sure on whether or not I should have bought it, just because I know that a lot of people said it's a harder game, especially for people who never played a Fire Emblem Fates game. So I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna like go like to all the stores and not find one. So I was just like, I'll start with this one, and then I'll eventually get Birthright, and then hopefully I'll like it. So that's what I've been playing this week. I haven't like progressed so much as I'd like to. I'm still kind of like going through the whole tutorial stuff, but it was something that I could say about the game. It's very visually appealing. The music is amazing. it's probably, at least for me, it's one of those like 3DS games that I enjoy in the sense that I won't let it go until like I'm really tired or I have to do something. But it's really good from what I've seen. So hopefully, as I finish it, hopefully, because everyone has been saying such a great game. It's hard, but it's a great game. It looks very good. So that's what I've been playing. Haven't opened any amiibo for it yet, but I probably might will. Like at least a couple that I have.
Are you going to open a Robin or a Lucina?
I have an extra, so I probably will. Probably. But yeah, no, I mean, I'd like to open at least a couple of my amiibo, especially for Fire Emblem Fates. I wouldn't mind it for that type of game. But yeah, I'd like to at least open my Robin.
I think Robin is probably one of my favorite amiibo. I've actually never played a Fire Emblem game, and honestly, I have no desire to. I'm not a huge fan of tactical, like RPG kind of games. But I really love the Fire Emblem characters, specifically in Smash. Robin in particular is the detail on that amiibo are just great. Like the tone that he's holding in it's the boy Robin is what we got for the amiibo. I couldn't remember. So the tome, like there's actual like script on the pages of the tome that he's holding. And
I'm actually looking at it right now, and yeah, it's pretty impressive. Just how tiny it is.
Yeah, so and I've made one of those glow, which was a huge pain in the butt. But I only make Robin Amigos with a glowing sword and glowing tome for charity events, and they have to be requested. So like, Amiibo Alerts did their No Kid Hungry charity thing around Thanksgiving this past year, and I made a Robin Amiglo for that. I'd actually had it done for months beforehand, and I kept it under wraps until the auction was announced. And I was like, oh my god. And everyone's like, oh, I want to order one. I was like, no, he's going to be exclusive to the auction, and any future orders, like, I'm not allowing anybody to order Robin Amigos unless it's for a charity event. So.
Yeah, it's really, like, it's very nice, but something that I'll tell you that, going into the Fire Emblem Fates and especially, like, Fire Emblem games, we've had them in Smash for like a while now, since the first game until up to now. I kind of appreciate more now, if anything. I appreciate Corrin because Corrin for me when they announced like on the direct, I really didn't know much about Corrin. I kind of was just like, okay, so a new Fire Emblem character. I didn't know much of his backstory until now.
Nobody knew his backstory. He's a completely new character.
Exactly, but the game did come out in Japan first, so a lot of people
That's true.
So a lot of people were already kind of like either they spoiled it for their own selves, so I didn't know much about them. Like, I know that they were in the game, but I didn't know of them. Especially now that I'm playing the game, so I get to, like, I guess, playing the games from the characters who've come into Smash. Yeah, it's a great tech thing in the sense that it's a good marketing stunt, if you want to call it that. But it's kind of good because you get to appreciate the characters a little bit more, other than just, like, being really good with them. But, I don't know, I think, so far, so good. Yeah, no, I love Robin. Robin's, like, probably Robin for me and Lucina are probably my two favorite Fire Emblem amiibo so far. Not counting Corrin yet.
I'm sorry, Lucina's just a Marth alternate skin, or should be.
You're right. No, you're right. Too, but I don't know why. Like, she's always been harder to find in the sense that I wouldn't know why she's super hard to find. I don't know why they haven't restocked her yet.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. So, all right. So that pretty much concludes. Oh, and what I've been playing this week, I've played a tiny bit of Splatoon this week. I played a little bit last night. Just did a few online matches. And I tried out the carbon roller for the first time. I've never been very good with a roller weapon. I always use the arrow spray. But
the roller weapon is my favorite thing in that game.
It's so easy. Yeah,
it's so good.
So like I'm normally like I come in like first or second on my team every time I play with the arrow spray, and I kept getting splatted by this one dude that was using a carbon roller this one match, and I just got like he was wrecking me, and I just could not beat him. So I was like, okay, screw this, I'm gonna try that weapon, and I came in first every match from then on out, and just was like destroying people, and my team won every match when I switched. I was like, apparently I'm decent with the carbon roller, but that was loud. Whatever that was. Anyway, but yeah, so I played some Splatoon yesterday, and then I played like 2 rounds of Smash with a friend the other day, and that was about it.
That's awesome.
I just haven't had any time this week.
Yeah, it's been a busy week
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I've been kind of in the same run. You know what a good counter to the roller is, I think anyways, and actually my favorite weapon in the entire game is the paintbrush. But it's a little tricky to use because it's a different mindset. You have to be way more speedy about it. So the way that I kind of play with it is that I will immediately just go find. It's like no matter what the map is, I'll just immediately try to get to a path where I know there's going to be like a relatively large open space and just whip it around everywhere just to get enough paint on the ground. And then like I'll go down, kind of dive, and then kind of just quickly move around and try to like. It's more about being part stealthy, part just being like a speed demon in a way. If you play like a first-person shooter, it'd be like someone that's like running around with a shotgun for the most part.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I have a question for both of you. In Splatoon, what is your play style? So I'm kind of the guy that just charges ahead and just goes like and like and sprays everything as best I can with my aerospray, and I try to cover a lot of ground, and then move to a new area that hasn't been covered, and then. But if I run into an enemy, like very rarely will I dive into the ink and try to run away or hide or whatever. Most of the time, like I'll just spray the crap out of them and try to take them out, and like I'd say about 50-50 I die versus take them down. But what's y'all's strategy versus like my obvious like just rush them strategy? Because I really hate playing against people that are, I guess it's the equivalent of camping from like, back in Halo and Call of Duty days. I hate it when I go to an area that's like, oh, this area is just covered in ink. I know there's going to be somebody hiding here, but I'm going to have to try to cover it anyway. So I'll start spraying or whatever, trying to cover it up, and then all of a sudden they just pop up out of nowhere and splat me. I'm like, really? Like, I knew you were there, but I had no idea where, and I had no way to stop you from doing that. And it's just like,
That's me every time. Yeah. Basically, it's like I stay like in the paint as much as I can, and then try to just like as soon as somebody comes up, I'll either get behind them or get right in front of them and just like whip them with the paintbrush, and they're out pretty quickly. So
you're the guy that I hate.
Maybe I haven't played Splatoon in like a couple months, but like for me that like I went from using the regular guns and even using the roller, I went from being consistently like 3rd or 4th place on the team to almost 1st for the majority of the time. So for me, it worked really well. It took a little while to kind of readjust myself to figuring out how do I play with this weapon properly. But yeah, I mean that weapon for me is like cool. I found my weapon. I'm good. This is it's fun. It's a good and yeah, I feel like it's different where I see a lot of people that either rush in or stay back and kind of snipe for the most part, which nobody likes snipers.
Nobody likes snipers. So I'm not gonna lie, when I played Halo, I was a sniper, but like in Splatoon, it's just not fun to be the guy with the E-liter 3K, like halfway across the map, just sniping people. Like it's not nearly as much fun. So
yeah.
How about you, Josue? How are you?
It depends on like the situation where I'm at, because usually I either use like the normal roller, or sometimes I just use like the normal starter kind of like gun that we always get, kind of like the shooter one. It depends, because the thing is sometimes I go aggressive. Sometimes like it depends. If I feel very confident that we've painted the whole map at least, or at least a good portion of it, then I'll go like all the way and make sure that they're at least at their base and they can't move from there. But if we're like losing terribly, then that's where I start like hiding out and seeing what I can do to like fix or at least help our team out a little bit. But other than that, that's kind of like what I do. It depends again, because it depends if like the team is doing good or if it's like doing really bad. Even if we're like losing, I wouldn't go necessarily like super aggressive to them, just because we still again have like a high risk of losing. So at least I try to keep everything the down low, so I can make sure that I can like snipe them off. So that's what I do.
Cool. All right. Well, that pretty much sums that part up. Let's see. Amiibo coming out soon. It hasn't changed since last week. Roy, Ryu, Famicom, Rob.
Wolf-Link Amiibo coming out next week.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one coming out next week.
Oh wait, does that game come out next week?
Yep, it comes out
Wow.
the 4th. So it comes out on Friday.
Nice. That'll be fun.
It-
I've not played that game since probably when it first came out, when I got a Wii, and I was not a fan. But like, I didn't like the Wii, like I didn't like the controls on the Wii, because I felt like instead of the promise of like what Skyward Sword would kind of go on to later do, of like actually having movement
Yeah.
in it, it was more like, okay, so all the things I'm doing are basically just replacing button prompts that would have been easier for me to be able to do if I had a regular control.
Right.
I've heard on the GameCube version it was really good, but and I hear that this is more kind of in line with that. So
Well, I mean, it was a GameCube game first, and then they pulled it.
yeah. Hmm.
And I feel like that's where half the problems came in. Is like people were like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna move Twilight Princess over," and they were expecting, motion controls because it was close to a launch title. I don't think it was, but it was close to it.
Hmm.
And so like people were like, "Oh yeah, the Wii, awesome! There's gonna be a Zelda game. You're gonna be able to take your Wii remote and slash your sword," and it just wasn't that. And I think people
No.
were expecting that and were a little disappointed.
No, and like I think it was early enough in the Wii's life cycle that like, people didn't totally get the whole idea of it. So I do remember when it came out, people were like, "Yeah, no, this is pretty good. I mean, this isn't a bad Zelda game." And now I think retrospectively, a lot of people are like, "Yeah, that wasn't a particularly. That's not a top one for like a lot of people."
So I'll be honest. Twilight Princess was the first Zelda game I played through to complete
Really?
ever. All my friends growing up had Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker and Majora's Mask, but like I just never really enjoyed games like that are really long. But when I played Twilight Princess, it was just so long that I just kind of lost interest. So I had to put it down for a while and then come back to it. And so I don't know. It's not my particular favorite style of game, but I know a lot of people that are like Twilight Princess is like my favorite Zelda game of all time. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But
yeah, no, that's kind of my feeling. It's like okay, yeah, that's nice. Even though the 3 games that came before that are probably, I'm one of the few people that actually am not a fan of the 2D Zelda games, including Link to the Past, which I'm sure maybe some people will be like, what? Why not? It's just like, it's not my type of game. But
it's completely
like,
fair though. Like
yeah, it's
Zelda games just aren't my type of game. Like I'd say probably my favorite game of all time is the current Smash. Like I love Smash Bros.
Yeah.
And then like most Star Wars games I very much enjoy. Like Shadows of the Empire was great. I know a lot of people hate that game, but I love that game.
Let's be real, Rogue Squadron.
Well, okay, Rogue Squadron was good. Okay, it was very good. I'll be honest. It was great. But like pod racing, honestly, for me, is probably my favorite Star Wars game.
I remember playing that a lot as a kid, but I couldn't tell you if like I thought it was a good game or not at the time, or like probably in retrospect. But yeah, no, those are all good. But yeah, it's like for me, I really got into Zelda when like Ocarina of Time came out, and that is still a very, very solid game, just from a design sense, in terms of figuring out how to make a 3D action game. There's stuff in it that hasn't necessarily aged well, but the general design of it is still interesting. It's like minus the water temple, the rest of the dungeon designs are, I think, really, really well. I'm one of the few people who actually thinks Majora's Mask is as good, if not better, in certain places than Ocarina of Time. And then Wind Waker, I think, is also like.
So I bought Wind Waker HD for Wii U, and I've started playing it, and I just got the boat, and then I just kind of was like, I've kind of lost interest for a while. I need to sit down and play through it because I've heard I love the art style of Wind Waker, but I just haven't gotten myself to play all the way through it. Yeah. So let's see. I guess the elephant in the room that we haven't tackled is all the Pokemon stuff going on this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So
Let's tackle that.
yeah, so why don't we start with Pokken Tournament? I'm sure we're a little late to reporting on the news, like the Amiibo support and whatnot, but Hostway, you seem to have a good handle on that, so why don't you tell us about the Pokken Tournament and Amiibo support?
Okay, so on the Nintendo website, they do have it that all Amiibo will be compatible with Pokken Tournament. That does include the Shadow Mewtwo card and all Amiibo figures. So not necessarily does it say that they're going to be playable, if anything, like what we have with Smash, but at least we'll be getting like kind of like, I don't want to say like DLC, but it's kind of just you get like coins, costumes, and XP points, I guess, for like everything for into the game. So that's kind of like what we know we're getting. Shadow Mewtwo, obviously, we know that as soon as you use the card, that Shadow Mewtwo will appear, as opposed to other people who play it. It's kind of like it's higher risk. Well, not higher risk, but there's kind of like it's harder for him to come up in the beginning as to the people who have the card. So that's up to what we know so far. They haven't necessarily explained too much about the Amiibo compatibility as of yet, but hopefully we'll be finding out more of that towards March.
So it's basically like a fighting game, right? Like,
Yes.
from what, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's curious how, like, that's gonna work then. Like, you get items, you get, like, maybe alternative, costumes. I'm just thinking of, like, how, like, other fighting games, I think, like, Street Fighter V is kind of out in the public mind right now, is, like, a lot of that, like, the extra content people play on that is, like, costumes or, like,
Right.
maybe slight changes to, like, effects or something like that. So I'll be curious to kind of see how that goes.
I mean, there's especially that we had our the Pokemon Direct. We also had one just yesterday, actually, and they were talking about Pokemon Sun and Moon, which was ported on Thursday, which appeared in this like European trademark website, which it showed up these two new games. So a lot of people were like talking about, could it be like another spin-off game, like what they did with like Pokemon Rumble and all that stuff, or could it be actually another like reiteration of the game? So we got news from at least that development is being done for those two games, and a lot of people were very pissed about the fact that we didn't get footage of it. But I mean, it's better than nothing, to be honest. I feel like they'll be talking about it more at E3, if anything, but at least we know it's in the works. Hopefully they have Amiibo compatibility with it, because that would be a whole different game of like, there's a lot that they can do with that, especially, it would be like a whole game changer, especially to the Pokemon series.
You would imagine at some point that they're going to go with Pokemon Amiibo, either through the cards or through the figures pretty hardcore, because it's like, it's like the majority of kind of their push so far has been Smash Brothers.
Exactly.
And that's almost done, so what are you going to do afterwards? It's going to have another 40, 50 figures involved in it that people are going to want to buy. Well,
I think you're saying the wrong number. You say 40, 50 figures. I think you're meaning
151. Excuse me.
No, 721.
Oh, is that the full number now?
Yeah, that's the full Pokemon number now. Is 721.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that makes me think that they'll end up doing cards instead, just from a practicality standpoint. But also, maybe they'll say to themselves, hey, we're going to do a long-term project with Pokemon Amiibo figures, so we'll do, a set number every couple of years, and it'll last us, 3, 4, 5 years maybe, depending on how, I don't know what their plans are involving that, but obviously it's something that's become a big part of, their current business,
Right.
So that's something that, obviously they kind of want to keep that going at some point. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, especially with this year in general. It's like, my first assumption would be, yeah, they're going to do cards. But if they do figures, then,
Right.
Bye, guys. It's like, buy wallet. Like, there you go. It's like, I'm going to have to go buy
720, $13.99 figures at Toys R Us. God, how much? I'm gonna figure that out. Let's see.
You're gonna need to get a loan for that. That's a loan.
Basically.
It's about $1,100.
Okay.
Or sorry, 11,000. It's $10,100.
That's nuts.
Not including tax.
Wow, no, that's ridiculous. That is nuts. But I mean, even then, they could always do both. Like with, they can like release Pokemon cards and Amiibo, I wouldn't see why not. Why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's
But-
true. Yeah.
Well, so if I had my way, if I ran Pokemon Company and Nintendo, I would do figures of the Mega Evolution, not Mega Evolution, but the final evolution of all the starter Pokemon, and the legendaries. And then a select few Mega Evolutions to satiate the people that like that sort of thing. And then the rest could be cards.
Yeah. I figure that they're probably gonna, if they go down that route, it'll probably end up being more focused on like the most popular figures, or like the most popular Pokemon.
Well, I mean,
You
we've
know.
already got most of them. So.
Right.
We don't have Squirtle. We don't have Blastoise. We don't have Magikarp. I mean, you know,
Yep, you're right.
the
No, you're
Magikarp fan base needs to be appeased.
Yeah, so if we got Magikarp, if he scans into game, what would you imagine?
What would I imagine it being?
I imagine that like a splash would like a digital splash on your screen, and then that's it. So
I would just put it into Smash, and just a giant dumpster fire would appear. That's probably the way that I imagine it.
Can you guys imagine a Kyogre Amiibo?
No,
Oh,
no.
I'd love to see that.
Okay, and this is a good segue into the probably the final topic we'll talk about today with regards to Pokemon. Pokemon Sun and Moon have been announced, and we have that image of the mystery truck that everybody's confused about. And my favorite comment that I've seen about it was that the truck is just there because there's a Mew under it.
Of course it is.
So that was my favorite comment that I saw. But
Yeah.
with Sun and Moon coming out, do you think there will be Amiibo functionality? And if so, what will it be? Or what would you want there to be as far as Amiibo functionality?
I mean, it'd be cool to see it taken maybe a little further than what we see with the Smash ones, where you have like specific data stored at some point. Now, like, this is a long diatribe and obviously a lot of just speculation, but if you did a current day Pokemon Stadium, but using Amiibos, where you're like, hey, I can throw in, I can go over to my friend's house, bring 6 of my Amiibo figures with me that I've trained, and go have them fight, So that'd be that. To me, that would be cool. Like, there's it blends into the play of what you would imagine Pokemon is like, but you have this element of like, hey, look, it's like I have something tangible here. It's not just on a card or like it's not just a disc.
Yeah.
Or like data. It is, here's my thing. It has like my info and like it's my figure, and again, there's a lot of really cool stuff I think you could do with that. But also, there's Pokemon Go coming out, which
Yes.
kind of, you could tie something into that potentially too.
Yeah, so what I would like to see with Sun and Moon and Amiibo, I would like to make it so that, well, okay, ideally, first off, I want, we had the rumors for Pokemon Rainbow come out, like, via some private email they got leaked or something, I don't know. And what I was really hoping that would be was was an announcement of a console Pokemon that would be able to play on television, and it would have every single region in one game.
Wow, that'd be great.
And what I would want for Amiibo functionality is you then can save your team onto your Amiibo and take it to a friend's house and then load your team in, and then you two could battle on your friend's console.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's what, like, that type of idea of like, I have these characters that I've trained, and taking it a little further, because I feel like the Smash figures, there's a limit there, not as great as it could be. But if you have something like, because also it deals more with like more of a real-time fighting game, as opposed to if you had something that's more turn-based, so it's like, hey, I have this particular character that has skills and everything in it too. I think would be
Yeah.
cool.
Someone sent me something from Reddit, which they posted, and they're telling us that they want a Pokeball amiibo. So it'd be like holding any data from any amiibo, from any Pokemon, and then acting as an amiibo and holding all 722 plus instead of like buying figure and cards. So similar to like the Pokewalker, but that would be like its successor. So they're saying that they would like to get that like a real life Pokeball.
That's really cool.
That'd be neat.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess that's. Josue, do you have anything else you wanted to add with regards to what you would want to see out of Pokemon Sun and Moon and Amiibo functionality?
I mean, more cards, more figures, if anything. That would be probably it. Like, I'd love to see more functionality for Amiibo, because I know that they've been trying to work on that. So anything that we can see more compatibility, that would be great. And just different features.
Yeah. Cool. So, everybody still there?
Yeah,
Yep.
right here.
Yep.
Okay. This is very silent all of a sudden. Yeah, that pretty much concludes that portion.
Did you guys get red, blue, or yellow?
I just got my code for yellow
Yeah.
right before we
I've
started.
not gotten it yet.
But, so yeah, how about you guys?
I got red.
But I haven't gotten it yet.
You mean you didn't get Ted Cruz is Zodiac?
Ted Cruz Zodiac. So, like, I did at least name my character Zodiac. So at least we're gonna keep that train going at some point. But yeah, I mean, like, red's the one that I remember playing as a kid. Yellow I liked a lot, but because it was different from the base game, I was like, oh, I have Pikachu, and I can teach him to surf. That'd be cool. Okay, let me go play this terrible minigame to go do that, and I'm 12 years old, so it'll take me 3 months to beat this thing. But, like, yeah, I just don't remember who the exclusives were in Yellow. And then I just accidentally came across yesterday a list of like, hey, here's all the exclusive Pokemon in Red and Blue, because I was like, I don't remember what they were, and I was like, okay, I'll go with Red. I didn't see one for Yellow though, so it was like, Red has who does Red have? That's really good. There's like, I think it has Hitmonchan. I think was one that I really liked. Although from what I remember, Hitmonlee might have been a better character in terms of stat wise. I think it has like Magmar in Red as well. So, and Kabuto, I think. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I figured that would.
No, I
probably
thought
be
you could
better.
use Kabuto and Kabuto, and it's Kabuto and Omanite.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think those are
so
the main differences.
yeah, you chose Kabuto and Omanite, like within the game. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter.
Scyther
so
was the other one. Which,
what I really want.
So that was a good one. He's probably super weak being bug and I think flying,
Yes,
but
Scyther,
like, I just think he looks cool.
And then-
so
Everybody loves Scyther. Oh, and Vulpix and Growlithe were the other two.
hmm Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, those are the other ones in blue. Oh, and I think Meowth's in there as well, too. See, blue. I'm looking at the list right now. There's actually not that many.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Electrobuzz is one in red as well, for those that are Electrobuzz fans, I guess. I don't know why you would be, but but there you go. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know which ones are in yellow. I think it's a mix of the two. So, yeah.
So I just went.
But yeah, I'm excited to jump because I honestly haven't played that game well.
Yeah, so I just went to my gaming drawer and pulled out my Game Boy Advance SP. That I've got a Pokemon Crystal cartridge in still. Probably.
Oh, cool.
Like 10 years, maybe, and it still has a charge and turns on. And you'll be able to see it turning on.
That's pretty awesome.
In the video, you'll be able to see it. I didn't know this was even possible.
There you go. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh my god. And it's actually got the time of day. It has the time of day correct. Wow. I'm impressed.
That's pretty. Hey, there you go. That's some quality Nintendo hardware right there.
No kidding. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, it died. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. You got a little bit. It took 10 years to charge 5 seconds.
I got like a minute out of that charge. That's ridiculous. The fact that it even had a charge is crazy to me. So you know what? Can't really complain about that. So yeah. With that, one thing we want to definitely plug is the Flint water crisis, or the Flint Blue Heart, or hashtag Flint Blue Heart charity auction. You've got a surfing Pikachu up for auction.
I do. There is, just to give people, as of this time, I don't know when this is going up, but there are about 2 days left. It ends at Monday at 4:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, I would just say, if you're interested in anything that's in there, grab it, and it is for an awesome, great cause. It's really, really awful what's going on over there, and those people, like, that's something that we take for granted in this country, is that we have fresh, clean water for the most part, anywhere we want. And so to have this not only be not that, but also basically be poison is, awful, especially in this day and age, and just like how slow things have been to help those people out. So, this is one of the things that I love about this community of custom amoeba makers, is that, like, we do a lot of these charity things, and that to me makes it worth doing all of these things here. So it's really awesome.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of really cool stuff up there too. So
yeah, I mean, like, I spend way more time on my customs, like, than I get paid for. Like, if I charged for my time, I would be charging like 100. And so, like, I donate my time with pretty much every figure I make. But I do it because I love doing it. I love seeing people's reactions when they get it in the mail and they test it out for the first time and they get to see it glow. Like, and like with the Amiibo Alerts auction that happened, like, I donated so much stuff to that. Also because it was kind of my brainchild as well as Amiibo Alerts. Like, we worked on it together to get that going. But so I was talking about the Amiibo Alerts auction and when I make my figures. And I love being able to give back to the community and give these things to charity. It's always a lot of fun, especially seeing people's reactions for the first time. When they're opening up their Amigos and testing them out and getting to see them glow. And I love when people post or whatever on Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is, that they've got the figure, like, oh my god, this is so awesome. I'm sure as a customizer you love seeing people's reactions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the fun things about seeing this is I've got to meet a lot of interesting people. I've heard a lot of interesting stories from people that have bought from me, or just from meeting other people in the community as a whole. So, I mean, that's one of the things that keeps me going doing this, is like, I just get to, I get to see people's reaction, and especially from people that buy from me, it's really interesting to hear from a lot of them too. And yeah, it's cool. It's been a fun experience. It's been
Okay. Brian, you there?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my mic right now. Yeah.
No worries.
So yeah, it's a great community, and I love being a part of it. And so on that note, definitely check out the Flint charity auction, hosted by the Game Changers, who we had on for. And so, I guess with that, unless you guys have anything you want to add, like Ryan, do you have any shout-outs you want to give to anybody in particular? Or?
I mean, I think there's a lot of really awesome people in here. There's, in terms of like the community, Glow, you're one of them. I think Kick Ash, who I came in to fill in, is really, really awesome. Gandra's really awesome. the Game Changer guys are awesome. Xanark and Sky is really good. It's just been really nice to meet a lot of really interesting and different people with a diverse background with this. So it's been a fun little ride here.
It's been awesome seeing you guys work together. Hello.
Hey. Sorry, guys. But yeah, it's just been it's been really, really cool to meet a lot of interesting people, and yeah, I mean, if you guys can contribute to the Flint charity auction, that's super important. So
Yeah. So all donations will be going into United Way, and we'll be helping a good cause, especially for the people in Michigan who are going through the Flint water crisis. So if anything you guys like, just make sure to get something, bid on something for all the auctions.
And we'll put links to all of Ryan's studio and in the description on SoundCloud and everything. So you can check him on Instagram. I imagine you're on Facebook as well, Ryan.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Also
We'll put links to
Tumblr.
everything, and that's pretty much all we got today. So I'm Mason.
I'm Jose from Uneval Steel.
And I'm Ryan, Boulevard Nights.
Our guest. There we go. And
There you go.
this podcast. So thanks, guys.
And thank you for joining in.
It's in the process of stopping recording, apparently.
Sorry about
It's
the
still
technical.
stopping.